You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That's better. Thank you, Tyler. I actually had the comments up today. I thought I unmuted myself. That should be better. Let's start over. Welcome to Locked On Badgers. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Rose Ryan Herrings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate being part of the community and making this your first listen every single day. Today's episode, we were talking about Janda, the tight end committing, what that means for that room. Are they done there? What it looks like going forward, plus a official visit week 2, some really high upside defensive backs coming to campus. Let's talk about all that, plus your comments. But first, let's go. Tim Gilbert checking in from Phoenix. And we got Corey checking in from Chandler, Arizona. A couple of Arizona guys. Absolutely love it. Like, I think some people know this. I was born in Tucson. I've lived in Phoenix. I spent a summer in Sedona. I've been in Flagstaff, Prescott, Tucson, Winslow. Tons of places in Arizona. So appreciate you guys out in Arizona coming to tune in. I love that state. All right, let's talk Janda. Let's talk about the big tight end that committed to the Badgers. 6'6", 245-pound tight end coming out of Orchard Lake, Michigan. High 3-star composite guy. A big addition for the Badgers. Let's fire those cannons. Let's go.
Fire the recruiting cannons. Another one is headed to Madison on Wisconsin.
All right, let's put the film up. Let's talk about Janda. Let's talk a little bit about what it means for this class in this tight end room. Janda committed right after Jack Severs. So I said it in the open, but obviously I was muted. I said this tight end room is jacked up. It worked really well for an opening lead, but I was muted there. What are you getting with Janda? So 6'6", he's 240, 245 pounds. You're getting a big frame. A lot like Severs, just in the sense that both have a big frame and they both play offense and defense. So you're getting somebody who, if you're playing both ways, and I say this all the time about players that are also playing special teams, you're playing both ways, you just have a bit of a give a crap factor. You just do. And then you also have a bit of an untapped upside because you're going to come to college and you're going to focus on one spot. In this case, Janda is going to come in and focus just on tight end, and he's going to give you something there. To me, this is a high floor type of a guy. And a lot of times when people say that, people hear that as like a negative thing. I just mean, I think he's a really safe prospect. I like the hands. I like the size. I like his ability to move. I think he's going to be able to block. He's got a big frame, 6'5", 6'6". I think there's a lot to like here. I think this is a pretty safe bet as a guy who's going to come in, develop, and be a good, solid starting caliber tight end in the Big Ten in a couple of years. He's got to put on a little weight. But several clips of him showing nice ability to block on the end as well, where he'll shift into leverage and push and drive somebody outside of the box. I think he can give you, when you pair him with Severs, I think he gives you a little bit of a different package, and the two of them play really well together if you start to project out in the future, which a lot of times doesn't happen, which is why we don't talk about it a lot, because who knows who's going to be here in 2 or 3 years. But Severs is, I think, a little more athletic, a little better of a pass catcher. And I think Janda is just kind of the complete package. I think he can catch, block. He is the classic, I can play all 3 downs tight end for the Badgers. I really like this kid. And again, you look at that tight end room, and here you see some of the clips of him blocking, just driving somebody off the line of scrimmage. That's going to be a part of this Grimes offense. I think that's something he's going to be able to develop into. And also some clips as a defensive end. Again, I think that matters. I think players in high school who are star guys, who are playing both ways, who are also playing special teams, there's some intangible stuff there that translates. A couple other things I got here on my notes. Bigger, more natural blocker. I think he's going to get up in the college when you start to look at his frame. I think this is a 6'6", 250, 260-pound guy in college when it's kind of all said and done, and a guy who can get out in space and use his frame to out-leverage safeties and to kind of run away from linebackers a little bit. I think it's a really nice pickup for the Badgers. You look at that tight end room. You look at some of the young talents in there. Now you've added Severs and Janda in this class. Again, both Plan A guys. Those are 2 Plan A guys. You're taking them first official visit on the weekend of official visit season. These are plan A guys for Letton, for Grimes, for Fickle. You got two of them, and you pair that up with what you did last year. Nijee Davis is kind of a freak athletically. He's coming in. He didn't enroll early, so he's coming into campus this summer. You have Emmett Bork, who, if you want to compare Janda to anybody, it might be kind of a more athletic Emmett Bork, like a kind of a bigger guy like Janda. I think you have Emmett Bork who's going to play, and then you still have Grant Steck and Tucker Ashcraft. You got some good young bodies here that just need to be developed. Now that you have those players, that's the end of that film, so I'll just come back on screen here. Now that you have those players, now it's up to Coach Letton to develop them, to coach them. It's up to Brady Cones to develop them, and then it's up to Coach Grimes to utilize them. But you got the bones now of a really nice a really nice tight end group. You have the bones of that. You have a lot of talent that you've recruited in that spot, especially for Wisconsin. A lot of these are high 3-star composite guys. Steck was a 4-star guy. Nijee Davis was a 4-star guy. There's talent in that room now, and you got to develop it because it's been too long since the Badgers have had a real guy at tight end, right? It's been since Jake Ferguson, and even over Ferguson's career, it was difficult to find a backup for him. They were a little lucky that he was able to stay healthy and he never really missed time, even though he's banged up once in a while. The Badgers need to develop this room. They haven't done it in a while. They need to develop it. I like both these pickups that they've gotten in this class. I think Seavers probably a little more athletic, a little better out in space. And I think Janda is more of your classic inline, will catch the ball on 3rd and 7 and get a first down, but can also move a defensive end, can set an edge. I think he's kind of your classic do everything tight end. And the two of them is a really nice package. All right, let's get some comments in here. Jim Thompson, welcome. Let's see. We got Adam Otto in here. Been a while since we've got one of these live shows. What's up, Adam? Randy's in Phoenix, man. We got the entire Arizona crew here today. We should do a live meetup out there. John says, good news. Robert Sorensen finally getting this room in a good spot. Booker being gone still sucks. Had hope for him. Yeah, Rob Booker, that was an athletic tight end that they had committed. He flipped to UCLA. They committed him back to Wisconsin. He had to leave the program with injuries. He was a high upside guy too. Yeah, Tyler, that red field for a high school is wild. I agree. Yep, Greg says with both these guys, we now have our Thoroughbred and our Clydesdale. I think that's it. They're different guys. I think they can complement each other. I think they could play together in a 2 tight end set. And if you're Jeff Grimes and you're Coach Grimes and you're trying to go into more of a classic Wisconsin, bring it back from what Longo brought this offense to, these are the type of pieces you need. You need modern tight ends, and both of these guys are modern tight ends. Brett Roll says, does he stay at tight end or do they move him to defense? He's going to stay at tight end. I got to be honest. I like to see of these two because it's really interesting. You have Jack Seavers commits and Jack Janda commits, and they both play both ways. They both have similar frames. I like Seavers as a defensive end a little bit more than the two of them. I just think he moves better. I think you could put a little weight on him. I wouldn't hate taking a guy like Seavers and seeing, we're going to put you at defensive end and we're going to see what happens. And we could always move you to tight end because let's just be honest. Defensive end's the more premium spot. It's like in baseball. If you get a pitcher, you always see if he's a starter first. Let's see if you can be a starter. We can always make you a reliever later. And I am not calling tight ends relievers. Tight ends are very important part of what they want to do offensively. But I would have been tempted to try Seavers at defensive end, man. I like his burst. Yeah, look at this one. Tim Gilbert, 3 crystal balls for Amari Latimer today. So Amari Latimer, obviously on the show the other day. If you guys didn't check that out, great kid. I really enjoyed talking to him. I feel good. I feel good there. I don't have anything to tell you at all in terms of like if I know for sure, but I'm telling you, I feel good there. No, all good, Badger Maniac. I didn't even see your opening comment, so all good there. Appreciate you. And Corey says, definitely down for a meetup. Let's do it, my friend. All right, let's take a quick break here for our friends of the show. We're going to come back, talk official visits, including a high upside cornerback. At least I think he's a corner in college. I think the Badgers would hit a home run if they can lock this guy down. He's coming up. Official visit this weekend. Let's talk about that next on Locked On Badgers. First, a quick break for our friends of the show. Quick second to say thank you for tuning in to Locked On Badgers. Today's episode brought to you by our incredible friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel has got you covered with Major League Baseball going on. I love betting on baseball, right? Every starting pitcher gives you different opportunities, and FanDuel has got you covered over there. They have a great job. They do a great job with their parlays, their live in-game betting, spreads, teasers. It's the really simple user interface to use, and the NBA Finals are going on. So an excellent time to jump over on FanDuel, take advantage of their great platform, their quick payouts, their easy user interface, their unlimited features, and you can do it on the NBA Finals. Live in-game betting, even if the game gets out of hand, it makes it really exciting. Right now, it's a great time. If you're new to FanDuel, head over there, sign up. If you're a new customer, place your first $5 bet. If it hits, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports book of the NBA and the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, let's jump into official visits. A couple really interesting guys here. We're going to go through the list I have. Defensive backs are big on this cycle. So if you want to look for a big picture takeaway, week 2 official visits is DB Central. Some high upside DBs coming into campus. Let's start with Jamyan Theodore, 6 foot. And what I'm going to try to do with these is I'm just going to try to give you the 30,000 foot view of each guy. 3 big things I like about each guy, kind of where they're from, where I think they'll play, who we're fighting for, or who we're fighting these guys for. And then so you have a kind of a snapshot of who they are. And then if they commit, y'all know we're going to do a deep dive on them. If they commit, we'll break it all down. We'll get film up. Let's start with Jamyan Theodore. So 6 foot, 175-pound, 3-star cornerback. Before we go any further, cornerback to me is a massive need in this class because you lost your turn and burn guy with Xavier Lucas. You went after a couple of them last year with Stroud and Zay Gentry. I think you need a cornerback or 2 in this cycle. You have Carson Elam's. I think you need I think you need a cornerback or 2 more in this cycle besides Carson. So you got a couple on campus today, or coming up this weekend. Jamyan Theodore. 3 big things about Theodore: tall, lanky frame, excellent ball skills. A lot of clips of Theodore playing receiver, special teams. I really like his ability to track the ball. Great hands. He's a hands catcher. And then when he gets when he gets the ball, he makes something happen. You can see the receiver come out of him. You can see the special teams versatility come out of him. He's a threat just about anytime he gets the ball to take it to the house. Good size, which this stat definitely looks for. Theodore is a big target, a really big target for the Badgers. They're battling Tennessee, Kentucky, Louisville, among others. Those are probably some of the bigger guys that are after him. He's got long speed. As a corner, he can play some press man. I think you would take him, and you would be okay with your haul at cornerback this cycle if you're able to land him and keep Carson. Another guy coming up, I love this guy's film. This next guy, Chase Jeter. I'm not 100% sure I'm pronouncing that last name correctly. 6 foot, 180-pound guy out of Ashburn, Virginia. He's listed at corner. I've heard some talk. Is he a safety? Is he a corner man? When you turn on Chase Jeter's film, and I encourage everybody to go turn on Chase Jeter's film, to me, he screams corner. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. And I know some people have said I think he's more of a safety. Chase Jeter screams corner. I think this would be a home run get for the Badgers. Now, Jeter is going to Penn State next. This is a high 3-star composite kid. I think he's a 4-star talent. 6 foot, but he is a turn and burn guy. I don't think this can be accurate. I saw a 4.29 laser 40 for him. There's like 3 people on the planet that run a 4.29, so that's probably not accurate. But he looks absolutely like a low 4.4 guy. 6 foot, puts his foot in the dirt, explodes north and south. When he sees a play in front of him, he attacks it. He's physical. He's really good in run support. Again, 6 foot, he can turn and burn. There's a lot of press man that he plays. They put him on an island. He mirrors well. He comes up and hits people. This may be my new 2026 uncommitted film crush. I'm just going to be honest. I love Chase Jeter's film. They got him on campus. This is a big visit for him. Obviously, he's going to go to Penn State next. If you can lock this guy down, I think it'd be a massive addition to the secondary. And maybe he's a safety down the road, but I think you get a guy like this and you try him at corner just to see. Because if he hits, you have a 6 foot corner that runs a 4.35, 4.4 that's physical. He's kind of what you wanted Xavier Lucas to be. So Chase Jeter's a guy coming into this weekend. I hope Badgers hit an absolute home run on. I love his film. Absolutely love his film. I think with Theodore and Jeter, you get 2 really good options at corner. If you can land either of them, you feel really good about it. Again, I love Jeter's film, though. I love Jeter's film. Physical corner is going to play in the Big Ten all day long. Plus, he's a burner. Next guy I want to highlight here is Zachary Taylor. So Zachary Taylor is listed as a corner on 247. I think he's listed on a corner as on 3 as well. To me, he feels like a safety. Zachary Taylor's a high 3-star kid coming up from Texas, 6'2", 6'1", 185 pounds. One of the first things you notice when you turn on Zachary Taylor's film, you see the build. He's kind of yoked for a corner. Like you could put him on a boundary and say, we want you to play press man coverage, bump and run, be super physical, and then turn and run with somebody. Good long speed. He really has really nice long speed. I saw 4.4 340 laser on him. So he's a big guy, 6'2", can run. My concern with him at corner is I don't know how shifty he is. He feels a little stiff on some of the clips when he's in the slot, when he's trying to change direction, when he's trying to mirror quicker receivers. I think he's a safety, but I think he could be a really, really good addition at safety because he is long, he can run, he can give you some of that cover one sideline to sideline ability, and then he can go up and get the ball. He's big, he's 6'1", 6'2", he can hit. Some special team stuff with him as well. I like him. I just like him at safety more than corner. So I think he'd be a nice get. They could definitely use a couple safeties this cycle. I think Jeter and Theodore are the corners you're looking for this official visit, and I think Taylor is probably safety. The nice thing about all three of these guys, and I led off with it, is they can run. All three of these guys coming up, Jeter, Theodore, and Taylor can all run. And that's what you need in the secondary. They've really prioritized athletes there, and I think they're continuing to do that in this cycle. And let me hit the comments here if you guys got anything. Jason said you can never have enough Escalades in the shed. Let's F and G. I agree, man. Tyler says once Hallman and Nizier graduate, our cornerbacks are going to be young and inexperienced. A-guard is the only one from the 24 class left between he, Lucas, Harper, right? Question mark. Might have to hit the portal. Yeah, all those guys left. You know, and they lost portal guys too. You lost Snowden. And what's his name from the year before? I'm blanking on it. The guy they flipped from Cincinnati. DeCluna, you've lost a lot of corners lately. A-guard, I think, is going to be a mainstay the next several years, but you got to get some guys this year. I think you need 2 or 3 at corner. I like what they did last year. I've been a big fan of Kairos Gaines. I've talked about it. I think he's one of the more underrated guys they picked up last year. I really like Washington and Scott, both of whom I think are kind of athletes that can play in a couple different spots. But I think this room misses somebody who can really turn and I keep saying it, turn and burn. I'll stop saying that, but they miss kind of what Xavier Lucas was going to give you, that bigger corner who can just flat out fly with the faster receivers. Honestly, I think that's what Chase Jeter can give you some of if you were able to get him. But yeah, corner's an issue, as our good friend Tyler brings up. I think you're probably going to have to hit the portal anyway, but that's okay. I mean, that's kind of what the portal's there for, but you got to get some guys in this class here. Yeah, Badger Maniac says we need to make it more about movement with receivers and running backs to make it easier for the quarterback and also help our offense. Agree there. I think that's something Grimes is going to do a really good job of, is scheme up. I think you're talking about scheming up people a little bit better, creating sort of more motion. That's a lot of Grimes' DNA. That's a lot of what he wants to do anyway. So I think we're going to see that naturally come back. Okay, let's get the last guy here. Jaylen Miller, 6'5", 305-pound offensive lineman coming out of Goodyear, Arizona. Good one for all the Arizona folks in the chat today. Offers from USC, Auburn, Stanford, among others. So big offensive line. If you watch his high school film, Jaylen Miller, you're seeing a guy who's going to play. He's playing tackle. He's on the edge for his high school team, which is typical, right? High school teams are going to put their best lineman at tackle. They're going to put their best athlete at corner type thing. I think he's an interior guy when he gets to college. His frame is, he's 6'5", 305 pounds, which means he's probably 6'4". It's not really long arms, but I think interior-wise, his frame fits just fine. And continuing on with a theme that I think the staff has done a really good job with is this staff has found ready-made guys that are more developed already. So there's less projection. Offensive line is hard to recruit. It's difficult to find these guys and figure out how they're going to project at 2-3 years down the road in college. Well, if you get a guy who's 6'5", 305, you already have a feel for how he's going to carry that weight, what he's going to look like when he bulks up. Now, bodies still need to get reshaped. You know, you need to get stronger. You need to lose maybe some weight in areas, but you have a feel for what he's going to look like at 305, and he looks pretty good. A couple big things I wrote with Jaylen Miller. Again, another big visitor coming up this weekend. Nice offer list. He finishes blocks. One thing we talk about with offensive linemen, man, you want somebody who's got some nasty. You want somebody who's going to send somebody to the shadow realm. Jaylen Miller does that. He finishes blocks. He pancakes somebody, and then he re-pancakes them. Really physical, nasty player. I like his movement skills at guard. You know, a lot of clips in his high school film where he's getting out in space. He's pulling from that tackle spot. They're running some misdirection behind him. He's pretty natural at 6'5", 305, getting in space, finding a moving target. His feet move pretty well. He gets out of his stance quickly, and he plays with pretty strong leverage for a high schooler. So I like him quite a bit. I think he's an interior guy, but I think he could be a really solid physical interior guy for the Badgers that they could run some pin and pull action behind. So Jalen Miller coming up, really like him, as I mentioned. Good offer list too there too. Offers from USC, Auburn, Stanford, Arizona, among several others. So loaded, not as big as week 1, but still some really, really interesting athletes coming up week 2. The one I'd highlight again is Chase Jeter. Man, I love his film. I think he's a turn and burn guy. I saw a laser time of 4.29 on him, which again, I'm not buying 4.29. I'm sorry. There's like 3 people on planet Earth that do that play football. But I think he's like a 4.4 guy. That's somebody I'm definitely tracking coming up this weekend. All right, we're gonna take one more quick break for our friends of the show. Then we'll come back with a couple other prospects coming up that are committed, but what I like about them and why I think one is really important to get back on campus. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. First, a quick break for our friends of the show. Also, a quick second to say thank you for tuning into Locked On Badgers. Thank you for making this one-year stops. It's incredibly humbling. Thank you. I had somebody tell me once in my comments, man, you say thank you too much. And maybe I do, but I don't want the people listening to this show, the people in this live chat right now, the people who are going to listen to this on a podcast later, the people that are going to watch this on YouTube and then go to our Discord. I never want y'all to think that I don't for any second feel humbled by the fact that we can do this together and that anybody's tuning in to listen. It's incredible. Thank you. Honestly, there's a lot of things you could be doing with your time. Thank you for spending a little bit of it here with me. All right, let's talk about a few more guys coming to the campus. Now, these are committed visitors coming up. You have Aden Reeder, Maddox Cochrane, and Ben Novak. So 2 offensive linemen and Aden Reeder. I love Aden Reeder. I've said it before. I think he might be my favorite guy in this class right now, the inside linebacker out of Ohio. I think he's got a ton of upside. Long frame. He kind of reminds me, man, of I was trying to think of a comp with Justin. I was talking to him about this. But he kind of reminds me like a DeAndre Levy, but like a longer frame, or a Jonathan Casillas, but a longer frame. I think he could be an NFL guy. This is a tremendously, in my opinion, underrated player. A Plan A guy, moves really well in space. Getting him back on campus with other committed guys week 2, I think those guys, it's important to keep them locked in. So I think it's a big weekend for him. Just like I said, week 1 was a big weekend to get Ryan Hopkins on campus because you got to lock in these high upside out-of-state guys. Because we just live in a world where it's so easy to decommit. It's almost easier to get the commitment than to hold them in some cases, right? Like it's almost easier to hook the fish than to reel it in some cases in recruiting. And we just saw that with Carmelo Reed, who was committed to Wisconsin and then went to commit to Ole Miss. You just got to keep recruiting these guys. And in a case like Aden Reeder, he's just a really high, in my opinion, upside athlete at linebacker that has a chance to blow up with senior film. I like getting him on campus to solidify this, lock it in, just like Ryan Hopkins. And then the other 2 guys, you have Maddox Cochrane and Ben Novak, the 2 offensive linemen coming on campus. Yeah, Cochrane is somebody who he did really well recently. Justin pointed this out at a camp. One of the better offensive tackles there. Big frame. Again, this is somebody that Blazek really, really liked and went after a long time. So another player that you want to keep locked in. Week 2 official visits. It's not week 1, but it is a big one. And I think they need to land some of those DBs. So we're definitely going to be tracking that. Let's check any more we got in the comments here. If you guys have any other thoughts, comments, questions, man, throw them in here. Yeah, Corey says Phoenix area has some really good football programs. Yeah, they've got some awesome programs out there. Arizona's got talent, man. They absolutely do. Let's see what else we got here. Matthew Anderson, man, that's my guy. Matthew Anderson's a good dude. Scott and Skanes are going to be dogs at cornerback. Just wait. Scott was awesome in spring. Yeah, Jameer Scott was really good in spring, and he's already jumped into that discussion. Skanes is a guy who reminds me a lot of a Caesar Williams, maybe a Nizer Forkerin type. He's not a burner, but a big frame physical. This young group of corners, Agard talked about him. Paul Haynes has talked about him. I talked specifically to Emilio Agard when he was on the show about this group. He was impressed. It was these guys are ready to play. They're here. They're physical. They're competing. I think that's a good group they got last year. I just go back to, I think that group is missing that piece that can really run with somebody. And that's one thing that was kind of the question with Scott and Washington and Skanes. Like what is their deep speed? Can you put them on an island and say, run with an Ohio State receiver? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe you can. Because it's not all speed. There's technique and there's physicality and there's understanding where somebody's going, but speed helps. And none of those guys are slow. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you also need a low 4.4 guy. Yeah, Robert Sorensen, also a really good dude. I love Robert too. In the Discord, great member there, says, waiting for the Wisconsin line to get back to being nasty. I am as well. I think everybody is. We had, I think, higher hopes last year, and I wonder how much of that was Longo. I wonder how much of that was Locke in the passing game. How difficult is it to block when you really don't have the threat of a dynamic quarterback and the other team kind of knows what you're doing? Because Longo at some level just felt like he almost mailed it in. I'm not saying he did, and that's unfair. That's unfair of me to say, but it wasn't working is a better way to put it. And I think that put that line in some disadvantaged spots where maybe this year with a little more dynamic quarterback play, some more weapons at receiver, I think the line could look better. I think the line was good last year. I don't think it was great. Let's get some more comments here. Marty says, thank you for all the effort you put in. Man, Marty's a great dude. Absolutely phenomenal human being. Met him in person. He hooked us up. Always wish good stuff onto Marty. Greg, same thing. Greg, we've met several times. Absolutely phenomenal human being. He's talked to my moms. My mom's talked really highly of Greg. Yeah, man. So, again, this community is incredible. And honestly, more than I deserve to be a part of it. All right, we'll wrap it up there, guys. Again, on Wisconsin, got some great guests coming up. We should have another Coach Gothier drop. We take a deep dive on Austin Rapp. Another recruit should be coming up. We're going to actually do that one today, but we had some technical stuff come up, so that's going to be a later show. As always, bunch of content coming up. Appreciate y'all on Wisconsin. Jack Janda gets a big commitment for the Badgers. That fills up that tight end room. And then this official visit weekend, keep tabs on Jeter, keep tabs on Theodore. I think both can play cornerback. And if you were to get one or two of them, I'd feel pretty good about this class with Elams. On Wisconsin, and we will definitely talk later.